Namaste, Debopriya ji, Suchismita ji. How are you? It's a
Namaste.
pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. Our pleasure too.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to be a part of the Triveni Music Festival, this musical initiative presented by Vibrnz. And I was listening to your performances. They're enthralling. I mean, I don't think words can do justice to the music that you create. Your musical journey started a long time back. So this journey was with Padma Vibhushan Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasya. As I open the stage to have this talk with you, I would like to, what were the lessons that you learned from, learning from somebody as esteemed as Panditji? Any anecdotes that come to mind, things that you would like to share with us?
I think we feel that we are very, very fortunate to have Guruji as our Guru in our lives, because as we mention this quite often, that it's not just music that we learn from him. It's also the ways of life, in the sense, I mean, at any given situation, we always think of that, how positive Guruji is and how he would have reacted to a given situation. Or even at times, just a phone call to him, and so much positivity and so much energy that he transmits to us. So we're really very, very, very blessed to have him in our lives, and to be so closely associated with him for so many years. So we are indeed very, very fortunate.
Yeah, I think it's amazing to have a Guruji that, a guru is somebody who, in fact, shapes you as a person as well. It's beyond the music, it's beyond the language of music, right? He is an integral part of your life, just like your parents. I think it's all a family that you create. Debopriya ji, this is for you. In an article written in The Hindu, this was some time back, you mentioned that in foreign countries, women playing flute is not unusual, but playing the bamboo flute is different. Can you talk a little more about the challenges, experiences for audience who probably are not aware of the differences in these different kinds of flutes?
In Western countries, so you know the steel flute or the silver flute, which you would very commonly find girls playing that. I think more common than women play that instrument. But in our country, the bamboo flute, I mean, firstly, the difference between the two is that's a steel flute and that has keys, and yeah, it's quite a different instrument actually if you go to see. And so in our country, I think just the fact, I mean, when we want to think back and if we want to analyze that, why is it so that quite some years back, women never played this instrument? So one thing which comes to our minds is maybe because this instrument was always related to Lord Krishna, and it's always seen in Lord Krishna's hands. So maybe because of that. And now after playing this instrument for so many years, we also realize that this instrument is not really as simple as it looks. It does require a lot of lung power, and yeah, a lot of mehnat, what we call. So efforts. A lot of efforts, yes, hard work and everything. So maybe. And also what I think recently what we have also discovered is that it's not really very, very true that the flute was always played by Lord Krishna, because it seems that Lord Krishna, ever since he left Mathura and Vrindavan, okay, sorry. So ever since he left Vrindavan, he actually gave his flute to Radha, and he never came back, and he never ever played the flute again in his life. So yeah, it's believed that after that, I don't know if Radha really played it full-fledgedly, but at least Radha always had the flute with her. And so now we are playing it. So that's also, Guruji tells that in a very cute manner, that Krishna never taught his flute to the girls, but you see, now I'm teaching the flute to the girls also, and these girls are playing it so well. So yeah, basically that's the difference, I think. Yeah. So, but now I think we should be very happy, and we are very proud to say that now there are many girls playing this instrument. And I think another 5, 7 years down the line, there'll be surely many more names coming up. Yeah.
That is, that's really nice to hear. Suchismita ji, both of you are Western classically trained as well, right? I was reading a little bit about you. So can you talk about how you blend that, the Western classical music, the whole thing blend it with the Indian classical music tradition that you're established in?
See, honestly speaking, when we were studying in Rotterdam World Music Conservatory, so it was a complete kind of a course, like in any school or any university, it would have its course. So similarly, this was a music university where we had a full course. Now in that course, we had to learn a little bit of the piano. Playing in group was gamelan. Then we had to purposely, it was compulsory for us to learn the Western notation system, the solfege that we call it. That was important. Guruji always wanted us to play the flute, and also because Indian classical music is just melody based, but Western music is harmony based. So his thought process was that if we also get to understand the Western chords, we would be able to probably understand and blend it better with Indian music and would have a better understanding of the chords and this and that. So we did study that for quite a while. For 3 or 4 years, we were studying in Holland and we learned all that. We went through the Western music history. We heard a lot of Mozart and all the big musicians there and Beethoven, and we were supposed to listen to their music and make out whose composition is this, analyze this, even that which period of music you think this is. We had to write, we had to compose a lot of things. So this was all a part of our study, our musical study. But after we got back, I think we both girls were sort of very protected from our parents, also from Guruji. So we were not really collaborating a lot with different kind of people. We were still doing our Indian classical music things. So at that point of time, we didn't get much opportunity to explore and try out those things. And at this point of time, we do collaborate with a lot of other artists. Maybe it is Indian or from any part of the world. But yes, but then they play their kind of music and we try to blend our kind of music with them and we see that what we can do. But at the same time, I cannot say that we do use a lot of Western music and
No, we may not be using a lot of Western music, but what we do is since we play together, so we at times try to use a little bit of harmony. For example, if she's playing a sa, so maybe depending on the rag, I would play the third note, which is a ga, or the fifth note, a pa, and create a harmony. Or when Didi is playing the high notes, I can play the lower notes, or vice versa. Something like that, that we do, and that is a positive thing since we perform together. So that way we harmonize our performance a little bit.
Very well. I think it's fascinating to see how fusion can happen, right? And knowledge, of course, transcends all countries, everything. So it's nice to assimilate different learnings, different teachings, which brings me to my next question. You are both a part of some kind of a band. Suchismita ji, you are a part of Sri Shakti. And Debopriya ji, I was reading that you're also associated with a classical music band called Sakhi. So it's an all-woman initiative. It's an endeavor that is very empowering. Can you then segue from this into that, and how that came about, and how do you, what is the purpose finally of being a part of such an endeavor?
Yeah, so Sakhi is it's of course a brainchild of Kaushiki Chakravarti ji, but though it's her band and we are 6 girls in the band, but I think Sakhi is as close to all of us like our own baby, so it doesn't really matter beyond the point that whose group it is, because we all contribute towards it. We all discuss the pieces, we all give our pieces, our ideas and stuff like that, and then of course, we build up a piece, and So every piece has elements from all of us, So, and of course, the purpose of doing it was just that. I mean, it's not to it's not nothing to be gender specific, but it was, I think, just that the idea was to portray the different forms of women. Like, I think, yeah, I mean, like now even during Navratri, so we are basically celebrating all the different forms of women. So Sakhi also, to an extent, is about that. And yeah, and it's purely classical based. So we perform different rags, but only that the thing is that we don't perform one rag for maybe 1 hour, and it's just a 6 to 10 minutes piece or a 15 minutes piece. So it's like that. And also that it has all the elements, like it has vocal, it has instrument, and it also has dance. So it is basically complete in by all means. So that is about Sakhi.
Wonderful. I think that is what women's empowerment is about, right? It's
Exactly.
bringing to light that, this kind of fusion can happen, and it is all classical tradition that you're promoting. So it's wonderful to hear that. Suchismita ji, do you want to share about Sri Shakti?
Actually, Sri Shakti, I've just played 2 concerts for Sri Shakti. Sorry, but I am not really a part of Sri Shakti that way. But of course, I'm a part of, let's say, Deepak Shahji's complete band. I mean, whatever programs that he makes, or whatever. His first concert that I was a part of, that was the symphony, the Raga Symphony. So it was a complete musician band of about 25 to 30 musicians, and I was the flautist, a solo instrumentalist there. And there was somebody on the soloist violin and sitar, but for the rest, the string section, the rhythmical section, this and that. But that's not a completely a woman kind of a band. That's completely a beautiful concept,
Yeah.
amazing concept. Basically having the rags but in a symphonic way, which is very different, very
And it's
amazing,
really
and
beautiful.
it is properly corporated like Western music there, because we are playing the pure rag, but the string section is playing the chords, the harmony, and in the same rag. So it's a amazing concept. And of course, there are so many other concepts by Mr. Deepak Shah. He's a raga pianist. So I'm a part of his band. But at the same time, when we need her, we pull her in also in that band. And we have guest artists there whenever two flautists are needed. So when it is a flute, flute is important. Some pieces are very important. Flute is dominant. So then we both are needed there. So we keep pulling her in. So it's everybody's band again. It is as much as mine. It's close to both our hearts. So yes, that's a very beautiful concept.
Yeah, no, I think that also showcases the creativity you can have just with Indian classical music. And
yes.
And this actually brings me to my next question, which is about, I was reading that you have performed at several educational institutions. You have been a part of, Spick McKay and, other initiatives. So I feel that, when you innovate and when you blend and bring, portray Indian tradition, classical music tradition to the youth, it probably draws an interest. Do you see that happening? Is there an initiative where you can pull in the youth of today's times? And there's so much out there, right? Music, they have hip hop, they have jazz, they have other things that are really nice. So how do you maintain interest in Indian classical music tradition?
I think this is not just a matter of saying, but we genuinely see youngsters getting interested in Indian music. And as you mentioned about Spick McKay, so we do go to different schools and colleges where we perform. And like after our performance, we really ask them one question, that we just ask them that how many of you would want to, after this performance of ours, how many of you would want to attend another classical music concert? So for example, I mean, even if there are like 50 students, and even if out of 50 students, if even 5 or 10 students raise their hands, we feel that our job is done. Because, and then of course we try to tell them that this is what is our music, and tomorrow you all might be great professionals. You might be IT professionals, doctors, whatever, engineers, whatever, wherever you go. But wherever you go, you should be proud of your own culture, and you should know what your own culture is about. So, and I think we ourselves don't pay enough attention to our importance and attention to our own culture unless it goes out. When yoga becomes yoga and when rag becomes raga, then we pay it importance. So that's the thing. But anyways, I think Spikmeki does a great job, and we contribute in our own way in whatever possible way we can. And we do see youngsters coming. I mean, even now, if you see, there are this bunch of talented young musicians who are doing so extremely well. Doesn't matter what instrument. I mean, whether it be the flute or tabla or sitar or sarod. I mean, there are these youngsters who are hardly in their 20s, and they are such brilliant musicians. There's no lack of talent, I would say. It's rather talent is just oozing. I mean, there's so much talent, but you need to just analyze them, and we can't even blame them, because see what is easily available in the market. If you want to listen to Bollywood, you don't even have to put an effort. You just switch on any channel, any place, you would get to hear Bollywood music. Similarly, it's with Western music, or it's with rock or pop or Punjabi remixes. You don't have to put in any effort. But where do you get to listen classical music? You have to put in effort. You have to go to YouTube and type for Hindustani classical music, and then you might get options. So then at our part, what we can do is obviously that make classical music more available to the youngsters, and then see how it works. And as we said, a concept like Raga Symphony or a concept like Sakhi is basically also an approach towards that, that we are giving them small capsules. As I said, even a classical raga, which usually might be performed for 1 hour, but we are just giving them 10-15 minutes, and so if they like that, if they enjoy it, then they can
It is sort
go
of
and look for
bridging
more.
the gap actually, because we are giving them something where the audience is not even realizing that they have been listening to some raga Hir Bhairav,
Exactly.
or they have been listening to Kirwani, because they come there and they sit there and they enjoy the music, and after the concert they're like, wow, it was amazing. But then we go to ask them that, did you realize what you enjoyed actually? It was Rag Kirwani, or it was something so serious, or it was this. So then they are amazed. Then they are amazed. Even there is one concept of soulful symphony where we have all Bollywood songs, but the songs based on Rag Yaman, and then songs based on Rag Bhupali. So again, the audience is getting to hear something very ethnic, something very traditional and pure, but something related and translated in their language where they can, they can understand and relate to it. So this is how we are doing it. That is how everybody does it. And when we go to Spikmeki concerts, of course, not always, I would say that we always get a positive response, and students say, oh yes, ma'am, we would come to listen to classical music concert. There are many students who are just very straightforward.
And they rather
do
question
say
us also that
why do we playing this? Why you think we should be playing this music? So their question is very direct, and
because
they just
this
ask,
generation wants answers. This generation,
yes,
you can't just tell them anything that just blindly believe it and just listen to it because your parents are saying it. They want an explanation, then why? So as far as we are able to do that.
Yeah.
But then we go with an mindset that, let's say if there are 100 students, out of that, even if 25 raise their hand and they said that they would like to and they would want to, and sometimes students, they come up and they say, ma'am, this is the first time we heard something so peaceful.
Yeah.
It was so amazing. It felt like that we were in some temple, or there was something so much of peace. It was like a meditation. They have their ways of expressing. So even if that is 25 students, so we feel that our job is still done. We are still successful to be able to, to make a difference to at least those 25 students. And they might come again and again, and you never know. In fact, I have students who have started playing the flute. They have picked up the flute after listening to Saptak concerts. Yeah, that is how they have picked up. They went to listen
Saptak
to
is a
Saptak
13-day music festival which happens in Ahmedabad.
Ahmedabad. He had no idea. He started going to music festival because his friends said let's go and sit for a while. And he enjoyed. Next day again he wanted to go, third day again he wanted to. Finally he realized, hello, I want to pick it up, I want to play it myself. So yeah.
No, I think that's really nice. It's heartwarming to hear, that one or two students who are completely into it. And I think that's adapting to it. I think that's what you're doing. You're making music accessible to the younger generation, which is incredible. You're both accomplished women, but you're also family women. You have children. You have your own family responsibilities. So how do you balance all of this practice, performances, and then your family life? How does it all happen? How does the
I
magic?
think it's not easy, but all we can say is that we women are good in multitasking. So if it's a little well planned, it's
Well
possible.
planned and organized.
It needs to be a little well planned, and of course, you cannot do it without the help and support of your family.
Absolutely.
So that way, we have been lucky.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, our partners have supported us, our in-laws have supported us, our parents have obviously supported us, and also after all this, our kids have supported us also. So that definitely makes a difference. So yeah, I think a little well planning and a little.
See, it is not only a sacrifice from our families or our sacrifice, because if you go to see, our kids don't see us for days together. They don't get to see us at all, I mean, sometimes when it's like crazy busy, they see us only twice or thrice a month. Her son sometimes sees her, once in 2.5 months for 5 days, because he lives in a different city. And Mumbai is the place for us, so sometimes she needs to travel and sometimes so. Anyway, so it's also sacrifice at their end. Definitely, they are supporting us.
They're supporting us, but you know what? Also, we think that by the end of the day, I mean, since this is what we have been doing for all these years, so in some way or the other, it's also our responsibility to give back to our parents, to give back to our Guruji, to give back to the Almighty, because I mean, music we believe is a blessing. So if you have that blessing, it's also your duty to utilize that. So obviously, it's a mixture of everything. I mean, our Guruji putting in so many hours and so many years behind us, and finally, what do? We get married and ghar grihasti. Not fair. Same thing with our parents. And of course, but it has to be a balance of everything and a mixture of everything. Then only you can do it.
I think you make a very important point, and it touches chord with almost every woman who is, in today's times, juggling, managing.
Yeah, and this is not just, of course, not only for music. I mean, whatever you have been pursuing, it's not worth just giving away just because you got married.
No, I think that is a very empowering thought, and this whole theme is about, often women get shadowed, and it takes effort for a woman. I wouldn't say, even to talk about yourself, right? We are more. We've been trained that way, right? To be a little shy, to be a little demure, but to have platforms like this, and to have, the Flute sisters, somebody like you who carve a path for other women. So I think it becomes very empowering right there. This whole, theme of empowerment lies in accomplished artists like you. And, this brings me to our final question. We've talked a lot, you've shared wonderful stories and experiences, but what message would you like to leave us with? Today's youth, today's women, today's artists, final words of wisdom from you.
Final words of wisdom. I think just follow your passion, follow your dream, and there are no shortcuts in life.
There are no shortcuts to be able to achieve what you want to achieve, because this generation has a little bit of a problem that they want everything in a fast food format. So they like pizzas and burgers and they like Maggies, but they will very easily give up on rice and dal, which is probably more healthy and will keep them more healthy and go a longer way and much needed when you absolutely need it. So there are no shortcuts. So you have to but
irrespective of what you want to pursue, but if you want to pursue anything par excellence, you have to work hard for it.
No shortcuts. I think
No
that's
shortcuts.
a very relevant point. and in no instant gratitude. That is, that is, as you rightly said, I see it with my kids. I see it with all the, all the younger generation around us. But thank you so much for your time. I truly am grateful. It's
Me
been
too.
such a pleasure getting to know a little more about you, getting a peek into your life. And I would say, I'm sure I have a sister myself. I can see the bond between the both of you.
Oh, yes.
It's that, I think it is that camaraderie, the sisterhood, everything that also contributes perhaps to the melody in your music.
Definitely.
Definitely.
I
Your questions are beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
And I'm so grateful that you're a part of this initiative. Hopefully, we can open up your music to a lot of the people around here who are maybe, sometimes you're not aware of the art that exists out there. So,
And we would definitely like to come and perform live, hopefully really soon.
yes, fingers
True.
crossed.
That is one thing which we are
Can't take it
really
anymore.
waiting for.
I think the audience interaction, the energy, it's synergy. That is very. I cannot wait for that live performance. I hope you will be in the New York area soon. And again, thank you for being a part of this initiative.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Namaskar.